Pregame.com.
Okay, guys, I'm Marco D'Angelo. We're back with Stephen Nover. This is the fun part of the week. We do the rants of the week where we get to talk about what's on our minds, what's on our chest, what's bugging us, and who we want to give the A-hole of the week award to. And what's bugging you this week, Stephen?
Just a couple minor things this week, Marco. The Monday night game, St. Louis at Seattle. Why? We just had the Chargers and the Jaguars. Don't the people at Monday night know? Do not, please, do not give us an NFC West matchup, ever. Don't do it, okay? So we got to suffer through that one.
Last year, these two went down to the final Sunday for the last playoff spot.
Yeah, very exciting, huh? Yeah, they were two great teams, and they're the Rams are far worse this year, and Seattle, they're not very good. But okay, another rant. Detroit Lions. Been following this team since practically the Buddy Parker era, and two things have always been significant about the Lions. Bad head coaches and a dirty team. Well, not much has changed. Jim Schwartz, though, has done a nice job. He's been better than most of the Lions coaches that they've had in the past. But they're still a dirty team, and I blame Schwartz a lot for that. I think he enables this and he's a very dirty player. And Detroit should have been proactive, so they should have suspended him themselves. They waited for the league to do it, and the team has no class. They're a trashy team. They may be a good feel story to them early in the year, but they're showing their true colors. And so, once again, down on the Lions, and I think the coach could be doing a better job of making them disciplined. Their talent level's improved, but they're never going to get anywhere if they even make the playoffs, which I doubt. And if they make the playoffs, they're not going anywhere as long as they remained dirty and undisciplined.
Well, they ought to change your name from the Detroit Lions to the Detroit Paper Lions, because that's all they haven't done anything on the field the last few weeks, that's for sure. They talk a good game, but they haven't been able to back it up after that great start. Mine, I've got two, and the first one is last week they did the Baseball Hall of Fame. They finally elected Ron Santos into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And, why does it irk me? The reason it irks me is this guy should have been voted in several years ago. It's a travesty that he wasn't, and the only reason that they put him in this year, they won't say that, but it happens all the time, and this is what irritates me with these committees, is he passed away last year. Okay, so now he gets elected the year after he passes away. Did his stats change from last year to this year, or any of the last how many years that he's been up for the vote, that makes him now this is the year he gets in? Because he passed away, they put him in. It's wrong. The man should have been able to enjoy it. He accomplished the stuff he gave to baseball. He was one of the best Cubs that, and there's a city, a franchise that needs anything they can get, the Chicago Cubs. The man, that's all he ever wanted, dreamed, was being in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and he never got to walk into Cooperstown and see himself in there. I think it's a travesty.
Well, my rant is that I no longer get to rant about Ron Santo not being in the Hall of Fame, because I've ranted about that for years. I pride myself on kind of being a baseball historian, and I've done a lot of research and read a lot of material, and third baseman is kind of a unique position, and there's not too many of them in the Hall of Fame. There's only like maybe 11 or 12 of them. And Santo ranks among the top 10 of all time. And was he as good as Mike Schmidt? No. Mike Schmidt, I think, was the greatest third baseman of all time. But Santo wasn't that far off. They were pretty similar. Santo was he should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. Great player at that position. For instance, Marco, the Cubs in the 60s, which I watched a lot of their games then, they had Billy Williams, Hall of Famer, Ernie Banks, Hall of Famer. Who do you think batted cleanup? It was not Billy Williams. It was not Ernie Banks. It was Ron Santo. And he had a great glove, a very strong power hitter, a Hall of Famer. He's better than at least 3 or 4 of those third basemen that are in the Hall of Fame. He's among the top 8 or 9 third basemen of all time. And for this to happen after he passes away, because he had a lot of health problems, and they knew this. They knew this, and it should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah. If I'm his family, it's got to be such a tough moment. It's something he dreamed about, for so long. I mean, he openly discussed how he, really wanted to be in the Hall of Fame. And for the family, when the ceremony comes about and, to accept it, getting his induction, it's got to be just heartbreaking for them to, you're going to be happy because he's in, but it's so sad that he didn't get in while he was alive for the guy that gave so much to the city of Chicago into baseball not to have his moment in the sun.
Yeah, on the one hand, you get up there with the ceremony, you just feel like flipping the middle finger. But no, you got to handle it with class, and they will. His wife will, and they're, I think, grateful and thankful that he finally got in. They know he should have got in sooner when he was alive, but I think it'll be a mixture. It'll be sad, but it'll also be very joyous and relief that he's finally in where he deserves.
My last rant, and this is a rant that I could do every year ever since we've had the BCS and all of this system. I want a playoff system. I want the national champion to be determined on the field. And I know you're going to say, well, the national champion is going to be determined on the field because LSU and Alabama are going to play for the national championship. Technically, you're right. But Oklahoma State's not getting a shot, Oregon's not getting a shot, and Stanford's not getting a shot. All of those teams are deserving. And I'll tell you another team that probably couldn't beat those teams but deserves better than they got. The Las Vegas Bowl, 2 years in a row. Boise State, come on. If the committee is going to turn around and say, we don't want the playoff system because we want the sanctity of the bowls. We want the tradition of the bowl games. Okay, fine and dandy if that's what you're going to preach out of one side of your mouth. But then when it comes time to do the at-large bowl bids and you're doing the rest of the bowl bids, don't pass over a team because they don't travel well. It should be what they did on the field, not what their fan base is going to bring and show up at the bowl games. Bottom line, it's all about money. It's always been about money. And that pisses me off because these kids work their butts off. They deserve a chance to play in a big game.
Well, good points, Marco. But on the flip side, you mentioned some very good teams: Oregon, Stanford, Boise State, Oklahoma State. Are any of them better than Alabama, though?
The thing that my fault with all of this is Alabama lost on their home field. If they would have lost by 3 at LSU, I wouldn't care about the rematch. The fact that they lost on their home field and the team Oklahoma State lost on a kick on the road on a Friday night game. We know how, the crowds get up for those, the midweek games, because it's the only game and it's on TV. The day after a plane crash tragedy at the university.
No, it was a terrible timing situation, but look who they lost to, a mediocre Big 12 team, Iowa State.
It's, you can't argue that they lost them. And then poor Boise State. Where would Boise State have been in the mix? They would have got screwed because of their schedule. Alabama would have had a tough, even if Boise would have run the table, they probably wouldn't have had enough of the BCS ranking to, surpass Alabama with the system the way it is. I just said, put the top 4 teams in or the top 8 teams and let's let them play. That's what I want to see.
Love to see it too.
Hey, that's the rants of the week. So, we gave them to a few people, so we got a few a-holes out there this week. But, hey, thanks for listening to us. We like getting this stuff off our chest. We'd love you to jump into the forums, into the thread. You can go to pregame pregame videos in the forums, and you'll be able to see the super thread. And you can voice your opinion on that. We'll have our show notes for all of the videos this week. And don't forget, always on Monday nights, you can predict the final score of the Monday night game. They got to know who's playing in that game first with the quarterback to predict the score. But if you predict the final score of the Monday night football game, you'll get $100 in pregame dollars to spend however you want at the site. So go to that, check it out, pregamevideos.com. Hey, he's Stephen Nover. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We'll be back next week with more picks and another segment of Rants of the Week. Thanks for watching. Have a great week.